Yeah, number one, I think you should just relax. No one's going to come through the video and punch you. It's going to be okay. And we have these beautiful editors that they can even make an old timer like me look good. So, well, they can make me look not bad. So in any event, one of the things about video that people sometimes fail to grasp is that video is your friend.
Welcome to another episode of the Story Lab. Thank you very much for joining us. And Jim, thank you for joining me today on this episode.
Well, man, my pleasure. It's a treat to be here.
Thank you. And I know I'm kind of talking about a weird thing with you. I wanted to talk about fear. There's a lot of what what I saw in your profile and stuff is how you talk about fear and the benefits of fear and all the different that fear brings. So why do you talk so much about fear and why is it important to you?
Well, for starters, fear is a great slave but a lousy master. If you use it to benefit you, then it becomes something that you can generate and harness and gather momentum with, which is really important, whether you're in business or in school or in life, whatever. Fear alone is the natural consequence of not understanding risk. Because if you know you're going to die, then you understand the risk, you just don't do it. But sometimes when you truly understand that you should be afraid, be afraid. But sometimes when you just don't know, maybe you ought to do some investigation.
I love that. I love that because so many people fear public speaking. They fear things that, aren't necessarily things that we should fear. How do you work with people to understand what they should and shouldn't fear in certain situations?
Well, a lot of times what I do is I get an opportunity to tell them about me because stories that people can relate to, you talked about fear of public speaking. When I was a young man, I was a stutterer, and so I suffered from glossophobia, or a fear of public speaking. And as I grew out of stuttering, I actually grew into, and my father encouraged me and made me fight back against that fear by public speaking. And actually, when I was in high school then, I won a state competition in prepared speech. It was pretty awesome. But it's not just that. If you look at the fears that Americans have, and I'm going to read these in order: fear of public speaking, fear of heights, fear of insects, fear of drowning, fear of needles, fear of small spaces, fear of flying, number 7, fear of strangers, number 9, fear of zombies, and 10, fear of darkness. And if you look at those, I guess those are the top 10 common fears in the world. We speak every day. We talk to people. We talk with people. We talk about people. Everything that we do to communicate begins after observation with a verbal gesture. And that verbal gesture says, hey, how you doing? I mean, if I come up and I say, Jonathan, what's happening? We've never met before, but you know that I mean you no harm. And actually, when you find out what public speaking can do for you, you get up on stage, and if you engage the audience immediately, they're rooting for you. They're on your side. So it's just been a long history. I was afraid of heights, so I started a tower business. I still don't like insects, I'm not going to lie, but I'm not afraid of them anymore. I don't have a fear of drowning. I don't have a fear of small spaces, although they're a bit uncomfortable. Fear of flying. I didn't really like flying that much, and I am now a pilot of a twin-engine jet. When you can establish command and control over fear, you can have a resolution to it. So, yeah. It's a natural consequence of understanding the risk.
I don't know if I'm ever going to get over my fear of needles. That is one that I can get over. But I have overcome the fear of public speaking and actually shown on video one of the things that I used to be terrified of doing. And one of the things that many of my clients actually struggle with is that fear of showing up on video. Mm-hmm. So based on what you know from showing up on, public speaking and stuff, what tips could you give people if they want to overcome that fear of showing up on video like we're doing right now?
Yeah, number one, I think you should just relax. No one's going to come through the video and punch you. It's going to be okay. And we have these beautiful editors that they can even make an old timer like me look good. So, well, they can make me look not bad. So in any event, one of the things about video that people sometimes fail to grasp is that video is your friend. This gives you the ability to communicate in mass, but you can do it in a conversation that's one-on-one. So as I'm talking to you, Jonathan, our message is going much farther.
Yep.
Yeah.
So many more connections that we're reaching because we're having this conversation.
Exactly. And I have no risk talking to you, even though we've never met. I assume that you don't mean me harm. You're not going to throw me out of an airplane, hook me up with a zombie, jab needles in me. And you can't because you're in New York and I'm in Idaho. Understand the risk, mitigate the risk with intelligent knowledge, and then apply that knowledge, which is called wisdom. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's so useful for people. So flying a jet. Talk to me about flying a jet and how you got to that point.
Yeah, when I was 47 years old, I was out in South Dakota with my dad, and we looked up, saw a plane, and he said, it's been a long time since I've done that. This is in April. He said, I'd give anything to do that again. The following October, I gave him a flight, and that turned into serving my wife and serving my grandkids because it was a 5-hour drive to see our grandkids, or a 1 hour and 15-minute flight. And that served our company and served our culture. And pretty soon I'm flying over mountains and I'm looking down and I'm going, this is probably not a great idea to fly over these mountains with a single engine. It was actually over the river of no return wilderness area. I thought this would be a prophecy if my engine went out. So I got a twin and I started flying jets at 63.
That is so cool. And, I'm obviously a big fan of stories with the Story Lab. So I love to hear all these stories about, how people got to do certain things. And while I don't know that I would be flying a jet, I love that that's, something that at 63, if I decide, hey, I can fly a jet.
And it's within reach. It's within reach for everybody. Yeah.
So you're also a fan of stories. Mm-hmm. So how do you use stories in your business, in the things that you do, and how have they helped you?
Well, I think anybody who has been a leader has to be or has to become an effective storyteller. Because if you think back, if I give you information, facts and figures, and, safety is a great topic. If I tell you, wear your safety glasses, put your, steel toe boots on, don't forget your hearing protection, you're going to go la, 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 la. So instead, I took guys that were in a very high risk occupation, and I said, let me tell you about Charles. I told him time and time again to put the saw blade down. Time and time again, he didn't do it. I didn't correct him, so it's my fault. I made him stop, but I never actually got after him hard enough where he changed his behavior. One night I got a call, and Charles' fingers were laying on the ground next to the table saw. I had to go get his fingers and take them to the hospital. That wasn't the hard part. The hard part was when I had to go to his house, and I had to get his wife and wake up his children. And the 50 feet between my car and his porch is the most intimidating walk I've ever had. And I never want you to have to make that walk. And I never want to meet your wife in that fashion. And now people think about, whoa, there's consequences that go way beyond a boss getting mad at me. There's consequences about what happens to my coworkers, my boss, my wife, my children, et cetera, et cetera. When they can visualize what safety actually could mean for them, not to them, but for them, all of a sudden now you're changing behaviors through illustration of reality.
And emotion. That emotion,
especially emotion. Yeah.
That makes it real. And because I'm sitting here thinking about that 50 feet to the door and what I would be feeling if I had to make that walk. And I'm glad I'm not playing with saws.
And when they can relate to it through the eyes or the depth of their own experience by using your experience, that's really low tuition learning. And stories they remember, facts they flush.
Yep, absolutely. I just did a presentation recently about how facts don't matter. It's all about how people feel. Absolutely. I love that. because we're getting close to that, that silly time limit I put in place, Jim, what is a way that people can reach out to you if they want to learn more, they want to hear more of your stories, they want to connect with you?
Yeah. I have a website called The Jim Tracy, THE, because there's more than one of us. I am the Jim Tracy, TRACY.com. Or you can find me on YouTube at The Grampian, GRAMPION.
Tell us quickly how you got that.
Okay. My grandson Wesley and I were playing a card game at a lake cabin, and Wesley's a really competitive kid, and I beat him, and he stood up with a start and he said, "You're not my grandpa." And I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me?" He goes, "Yeah, and you're not the champion." And then he smiled. He got that wry Wesley smile on his face. He says, "You're my Grampian." And that was a moniker that I will wear forever, man. I'm not bold enough to give it to myself, but I'm sure loving that he gave it to me.
There you go. There you go. Hey, you got to take what you're given.
Perfect.
And that's a great one. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being here. I am so happy we were able to talk a little bit about fear and storytelling and all those things. I think it'll be really beneficial for the audience. Is there anything else I missed that you want to make sure you get in before the end?
No, I just want to say thank you and thank your audience. And if you haven't liked and subscribed on the Story Lab yet, you need to do that.
Well, thank you. Yes, like, subscribe. And if you haven't, write a review if you love what you're hearing, because I want to hear what you like, and I do want to hear what you don't like, so send me some of that information separately, too. So,
Perfect.
Thank you very much for being here, Jim. I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you again and talking to you soon.
All right, my pleasure. Take care now.
Take care.